The topic right now is what is the most important position in professional sports? And I've been arguing points
Ownership is the most important position.
Well, I'm not talking about that. And we all know that building a team and having the right owner behind the team is going to give you the best opportunity to win championships. There's no question. But that's not what I'm talking about. Positional players. When you look at position, when it comes to hockey with goaltending, baseball, pitching, and obviously, we were just talking about the quarterback. Everybody thinks quarterback is the most important position in now professional football to win championships. And I say, no, it isn't. Not anymore. What is the most important position in your eyes and why? By the way, we're talking to Mikey C.
Well, in football, the reason why it's the quarterback, and I understand everybody says defense wins championships, but defense is a multitude of players. So the reason for the quarterback is because you're kind of in charge of your team to make sure you try to go down there and score. So the quarterback will still stay the most important position in football because of that reason, because defense is all about the team. Quarterback is understanding the audibles and changing signals on the fly in a sense. So that's the reasoning for that factor.
So you're saying,
you can't separate a defense as being the most important part because the defense is a team-oriented aspect.
You can change it by looking at a defensive player, how he can change a game more quicker and more important than a quarterback can. A quarterback,
no.
No. There are defensive players in many career games in professional football in the playoffs that completely took over games. One of the guys in Lawrence Taylor, who we saw took over games with a blink of an eye.
Right. And I'm not disagreeing, but those types of things are a little far and few between. There's not many Lawrence Taylors in the world.
There are a lot of great defensive players.
There's a lot of good ones, but a lot of them don't make the Super Bowl either.
Yeah.
They're not in the Super Bowl. To get to the Super Bowl is already a hard feat to accomplish. And then when they're in the Super Bowl, those types of players, like for example, right now, the most disruptive defensive guys that everybody talks about is technically Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack has never sniffed it, and Aaron Donald went once. So that's where I feel you can't go by that. But there's a quarterback at every single Super Bowl. Those game changes on defense don't make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but when you watch the game, there's very few quarterbacks that play well in a Super Bowl. So you also have to look at that. He could be a great quarterback. He goes to the Super Bowl and he doesn't play well in the Super Bowl. So
you're right, but also you also got to take into consideration because you have a 2-week layoff. A lot of teams are not replicating what they've done all season,
which is good game planning.
Kind of brings out a brand new play calling all the way around in a sense.
Which you have to, because if you do the same thing you've always done, good teams will recognize it.
Right.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
That's game planning, though. That's not position affiliated.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the quarterback position. And again, it's not even. We're taking away the quarterback position. We're trying to pick the most important positions for each sports, and some people say it's the quarterback. I say for baseball, it's pitching.
Baseball is pitching.
And
you're the one. Right.
And hockey, it's goaltending. So I said,
correct.
To me, what are the two most important positions out of all three of them? And I would say goaltending and pitching, because we've seen teams over the years, and we've seen teams.
Well, your favorite guy, Van Beesbrook, single-handedly brought the Panthers to the finals.
Yep, and so did, and all those years, and you can say whatever you want to say about the New Jersey Devils and how great they were. Martin Brodeur was one of the main reasons why they were all the time making or getting close to the Stanley Cup Finals and winning those championships. They had good players, but they never had elite players besides Scott Niedermayer. They really didn't have elite players. So say whatever you want about the New Jersey Devils and how great they were. They were a great organization, ran superior by Lou Lamoriello. But again, it was goaltending that got them where they were.
Well, it was a combination of a lot of things. They had a few not elite players. They had a lot of great players, and see, hockey is also a different sport because they also instituted a system, a defensive system, once they got the lead. So that's part of coaching.
Yeah,
So
but they could afford to take those chances with a great goalie, though, too, if they want to.
Right. No, I know that. No, I'm not disagreeing about the goalie aspect, but, everybody considered them as boring hockey because once they got a 2-1 lead, the game was pretty much over because Marty Brodeur was one of the best goalies, ever. And then they changed it to, the trap system, and that was it. That was it. So, I mean, it's a little different, because in hockey, I mean, it's always great to have a great player, but it's not always needed.
Right, and you need depth in hockey, too. You can't just win on one player either. You used to be able to do that to some extent when there was original six and older eras, but now you need depth. But again, with the goaltending, a lot of great goaltenders just historically tend to win.
Correct.
And in pitching, we all know, and we've seen this over and over again, usually the team that has the best pitching staff going into the World Series is more than likely going to win the championship. And you can go up and down all the rosters that have won in the last couple of years, and most of them had very good pitching staffs, especially in the World Series. So, I look at pitching because I believe, and we're going to get into another story that I want to get into, and why I think baseball...
I think you're nuts about that. But
I think baseball will eventually be the number one sport in America again. I do believe it. And I'm going to tell you why. I have a whole take on it coming up next. But I will tell you this. When I look at all the sports, I think goaltending, out of all the sports, those are what... If you have the best chance of winning championships, it's goaltending. Because if you have the goaltender and you know that this guy can go into those big games and keep you in the big game, you don't need a big-time offensive team. You don't need a big-time defensive team because you got that guy behind it, the backbone, that can keep you in games. And that's why everybody says, and Mike, you know this more than anybody does, we say this about the Islanders. The Islanders, the one reason why the Islanders will never go anywhere as a championship team is because they don't have the goaltender that could take them there. Right or wrong?
No, they don't have a lot of things.
No, but we understand that. But if they had a top-end goaltender, they would have better chances to go into a playoff series where everybody counts them out. They have not a chance, and go in with a goaltender that can absolutely win you those games.
I don't know. I beg to differ, and the reason why I say that is because let's lose. Since you brought up the Islanders, well, you use the status of last year's playoffs, where, in all honesty, even though Robin Lehner had a career year, he's got a great goaltender. Christ had a good year. He's got a great goaltender, and those two played well enough to win games. The problem was the Islanders didn't score enough. So I don't. I mean, because the goalie can get hot. Like everybody points to the Van Beesbrook aspect, where he took a no-name, lousy Florida team and pretty much won a lot of games, 2-1, 1-0, stuff like that, 3-2 games, very low scoring because he was just
one of the greatest.
He was on top of his game.
Yeah, one of the greatest runs you ever see a goaltender do in a playoff run, and going throughout the regular season, it was a sensation. Everybody will remember it in 1996.
Because I know you brought up the Islanders, and I feel that the Islanders didn't have proper scoring or enough scoring to win those games because the goaltending was sufficient enough. I mean, obviously you need great goaltending to win the whole thing. Because I'm not going to lie, Carolina had Peter Mrazek. He wasn't good. He really got hot at the right time. But what it was is that Carolina scored enough and won games. So it can go both ways. But to me, if I had to choose, it's the pitcher. Because on goaltending, you rely on a couple of things, your defense as well as everything else. And I know you can say on your head, but the pitcher, you're solely up for, if it's up to you to get 27 outs. If you can mow them all down, it's all on you. So if I had to take one, I'd take the pitcher.
Well, it's also
the ball's in your hands. The ball is in your hands. When you're a goalie, the puck is not in your hands.
Yeah, the puck is in your hands.
So that makes it harder and more important if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, but you're a wall. And if you're a wall, and there are a lot of goaltenders over the years, I could call them walls. You'd be lucky to put the puck behind them. Dominic Hasek being one of them. In the 3 or 4 years that he was the most dominant goaltender, they called him the Dominator. You could throw it wherever you want at the net. He's more than likely going to stop it.
That makes it more valuable when you don't know what you're doing.
Right. But he had also an unethical style of play.
Yeah, but there were other goaltenders just like that. Eddie Giacomin.
No.
And yes, Eddie Giacomin was a totally different. He kind of gave back the stand-up, release, butterfly style of goaltending, where it started to really develop the Eddie Giacomin time. Yes, the development of goaltending or what it was and what it is today is completely different. The big size, tall, powerful, big, strong goaltender to the very small, very athletic, cutting down the angle style of goaltending. It's changing now to a stand-up style of goaltending because these goaltenders don't want to go to the body. They don't want to go down to their knees. They want to stay up top and protect the net the way they do with their glove hand and the blocker style. So I do believe that the goaltending position is the most important because I think the understanding of knowing that you're going into the game and you got to try to put the puck behind that guy. And a pitcher, you'll figure it out. If he doesn't have his game, you're going to figure him out. A goaltender, even when he's having a bad game, when he's a big-time goaltender, he'll find a way to close it down in the big game. We've seen great goaltending. I hate Henrik Lundqvist, but when Henrik Lundqvist was on the top of his game, Henrik Lundqvist was the only reason why the Rangers were always going to the Eastern Conference Finals or even the Stanley Cup Finals when they got swept by the LA Kings. Okay? We all know the reason why they were there was because of Henrik Lundqvist. Okay? So we know what wins those games. And even with a great goaltender, they couldn't get over the hump because in the long run, they had a hot goaltender too in Jonathan Quick.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was just as good at that time and a better playoff goalie, so that's what ends up happening. And Quick was like that too 2 years ago, taking the 8-seeded Kings to win the Stanley Cup too.
Yeah, so you just don't know, and that's my argument here is, Mike, you might be right. Maybe the pitcher is the most important.
It is the pitcher.
Yeah,
only
that's your opinion.
Hands. The goalie, you got to stop the puck. The pitcher, it's all up to you to make those pitches to go get your out.
But I think it's harder though when you don't know what's coming to be able to do that. That's why I think it makes it more important. Whereas with a pitcher, you could adjust to that in terms of controlling what you can do. Mm-hmm. Where with the goaltender, he could shoot early. He could make a move at the net. You don't know what kind of move he can make at the net.
Yeah, your defenseman to try to block a shot.
Yeah, and your defenseman could redirect it. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen.
And that's why I think the goaltender is the most important position in professional sports. And that's why I think when you look at the difficulty of the position and understanding what the goaltender needs to do in the game to keep his team in the game, he could change it. A goaltender can change a game. So could a pitcher. But here's the thing: eventually the pitcher gets tired. Mm-hmm. Most of the time they get tired because in a playoff game, good lineups will wear you out. They'll keep fouling the ball. You'll strike them out, but eventually you'll have 110, 120 pitches, and you're going to have come out, and then you have to go to a bullpen that you don't know if can keep you in games.
I also think on a bigger field, too, with 8 other guys out there, obviously there can be bad defenses, but defenses can still help, too. Batters, again, can also swing under it. They strike out a lot, too, because of the analytics now. I just think there's also more factors that could contribute to helping a pitcher, and that's why you don't see 500 hitters. That's why you don't see 600 hitters. The best hitters hit 330. That's still getting out 6.5 times out of 10. So, again, you're judging that. Whereas, again, hockey's shot percentage I know is lower for stars, and hockey still generally benefits the defense more, but statistically, baseball has always benefited the pitcher to some extent because of that extra help as well, even for average pitchers and even slightly below average pitchers.